North Korea stands as one of the most isolated nations on Earth, shrouded in secrecy and mystery. Yet behind its closed borders lies a significant military threat, one that the world cannot afford to ignore. This threat has only grown in recent years, fueled by a potent combination of advanced weaponry and unpredictable behavior, making the situation increasingly volatile. Understanding the nature of this threat is crucial for regional and global security, as it impacts not just neighboring countries but the entire world. North Korea's actions and intentions have far-reaching consequences, making it a key player on the geopolitical chessboard, where every move is watched closely. North Korea's pursuit of military power is deeply intertwined with its domestic politics, where the regime's survival depends on its perceived strength. The Kim regime relies on a constant atmosphere of external threat to justify its authoritarian rule and maintain internal control, creating a climate of fear and obedience. This dynamic creates a dangerous feedback loop, where provocations and military buildup feed off each other, escalating tensions further. Breaking this cycle requires a nuanced understanding of North Korea's motivations and capabilities, as well as a strategic approach to diplomacy. The world has watched with growing concern as North Korea has steadily advanced its military capabilities, showcasing its power through frequent displays. From its vast conventional forces to its growing nuclear arsenal, Pyongyang has demonstrated a clear commitment to military strength, posing a significant challenge. This buildup is not merely for show, it represents a real and present danger to its neighbors and the international community, demanding urgent attention. The stakes are incredibly high on the Korean peninsula, where any miscalculation could lead to catastrophic consequences. Any conflict involving North Korea has the potential to escalate rapidly, with devastating consequences that could affect millions. The international community must work together to deter aggression and find a peaceful resolution to the North Korean issue, through dialogue and cooperation. The alternative is simply unthinkable, a scenario that the world must strive to avoid at all costs. At the heart of North Korea's military threat lies its nuclear weapons program. Once dismissed as mere bluster, North Korea's nuclear capabilities are now an undeniable reality. The country has conducted 6 nuclear tests, each more powerful than the last, demonstrating its steady progress in nuclear weapons technology. Estimates from various intelligence agencies suggest that North Korea possesses a stockpile of fissile material sufficient for dozens of nuclear warheads. Furthermore, the regime continues to produce more fissile material, indicating its intention to further expand its nuclear arsenal. This growing nuclear threat has serious implications for regional and global security. North Korea's nuclear ambitions extend beyond mere deterrence. The regime has made it clear that it views nuclear weapons as a tool to guarantee its survival and advance its interests. This aggressive nuclear posture has heightened tensions on the Korean peninsula and beyond, raising fears of miscalculation and escalation. The international community has responded to North Korea's nuclear program with a series of sanctions aimed at curbing its development. However, these sanctions have had limited success in deterring North Korea's nuclear ambitions. The regime has shown a willingness to endure significant economic hardship to maintain its nuclear program, highlighting the challenges of containing this threat. While North Korea's nuclear weapons program garners the most attention, its conventional military forces should not be underestimated. North Korea possesses one of the largest standing armies in the world, with over 1 million soldiers at its disposal. Though often equipped with outdated equipment, these forces pose a significant threat, particularly in a conventional conflict scenario. Beyond its sheer numbers, North Korea's conventional forces are bolstered by a vast array of artillery pieces. Positioned along the demilitarized zone, these artillery units could unleash a devastating barrage on Seoul, the South Korean capital, causing massive casualties and destruction. This artillery threat represents a constant and significant danger to South Korea's security. In addition to its conventional forces, North Korea has invested heavily in asymmetric warfare capabilities, including cyber warfare and special operations forces. These capabilities could be used to disrupt critical infrastructure, sow chaos, and undermine its adversaries. North Korea's cyber attacks on South Korean banks and media outlets in recent years demonstrate the real-world threat posed by these asymmetric capabilities. North Korea's military strategy is based on a combination of conventional forces, asymmetric capabilities, and the threat of nuclear escalation. This multifaceted approach makes North Korea a formidable and unpredictable adversary, capable of posing a significant challenge to regional stability. The Korean Peninsula remains one of the most volatile regions in the world, with a long history of conflict, deep-seated mistrust, and unresolved tensions. The division of the peninsula along the DMZ, a heavily fortified border, serves as a constant reminder of the unresolved tensions and the fragile peace between North and South Korea. This precarious situation creates an environment where even a small incident or misunderstanding could spiral out of control, leading to potentially catastrophic consequences. Several potential flashpoints could ignite a conflict on the Korean Peninsula, each with its own unique set of risks and challenges. The most obvious is the DMZ itself, where any accidental incursion or miscalculation by either side could quickly escalate into a larger confrontation, drawing in regional powers. The presence of heavily armed troops and advanced military hardware along the border only amplifies the risk of unintended consequences and rapid escalation. Another potential flashpoint is the Northern Limit Line, a disputed maritime boundary in the Yellow Sea, which has been a source of contention for decades. North and South Korea have clashed repeatedly in this area, most notably in the Second Battle of Yeonpyeong in 2002, and the shelling of Yeonpyeong Island in 2010, both of which resulted in significant casualties. These incidents highlight the volatility of the Northern Limit Line and the potential for naval skirmishes to escalate into a wider conflict, involving more nations. Beyond the DMZ and the Northern Limit Line, North Korea's increasingly provocative behavior, including missile tests over Japan and cyber attacks on South Korean infrastructure, raises the risk of miscalculation, retaliation, and broader regional instability. The unpredictable nature of the Kim regime makes it difficult to predict how it might respond to perceived threats or provocations, further increasing the risk of conflict and making the situation even more precarious. Section 5. Limited strikes, testing boundaries and resolve. One potential scenario for conflict on the Korean Peninsula involves North Korea launching limited military strikes against South Korea or its allies, aiming to create a controlled yet impactful disturbance. These strikes could take various forms, from artillery barrages and commando raids to cyber attacks on critical infrastructure, each designed to exploit specific vulnerabilities. The goal of such limited strikes would be to achieve specific political or military objectives without triggering an all-out war, maintaining a delicate balance. North Korea might resort to limited strikes for several reasons, each rooted in its strategic calculations. It could be attempting to bolster its domestic legitimacy by portraying itself as strong and defiant in the face of external pressure, rallying its population. Alternatively, it could be trying to probe the resolve of South Korea and its allies, testing their willingness to respond forcefully to provocations and gauging their thresholds. Another possibility is that North Korea might use limited strikes as a bargaining chip in negotiations, hoping to extract concessions from the international community in exchange for restraint, leveraging its actions for diplomatic gains. This tactic has been employed by Pyongyang in the past, with varying degrees of success, often leading to tense standoffs. Regardless of the motivation, limited strikes by North Korea would pose a significant challenge to regional stability, creating a precarious situation. They would risk provoking a strong military response from South Korea and its allies, potentially escalating into a wider conflict that could spiral out of control. Furthermore, even if contained, such strikes would likely result in casualties and damage, further inflaming tensions on the Korean Peninsula and making peace more elusive. In the high-stakes environment of international conflict, a single miscalculation can lead to catastrophic escalation. Imagine a scenario where a routine military exercise is misinterpreted as an act of aggression. This could trigger a rapid sequence of retaliatory actions, spiraling out of control before cooler heads can prevail. The margin for error is razor thin, and the consequences, well, they could be devastating. The notion of a full-scale war might seem unthinkable in today's world, but history has shown us that the unthinkable can indeed happen. A series of unfortunate events, misunderstandings, or even deliberate provocations could ignite a conflict of unimaginable proportions. While we hope for the best, we must also prepare for scenarios that, although unlikely, are not entirely impossible. A conflict involving North Korea wouldn't just affect the immediate region, its repercussions would be felt globally. Economic markets would tremble, alliances would be tested, and the humanitarian toll could be staggering. Countries far removed from the initial conflict zone would find themselves drawn in, either through diplomatic obligations or the far-reaching impacts on global trade and security. Given the dire potential outcomes of a conflict, the importance of diplomacy cannot be overstated. Diplomatic efforts, no matter how challenging, offer the best hope for de-escalation and peaceful resolution. Engaging in dialogue, building trust, and finding common ground are not just preferable alternatives, they are essential imperatives for ensuring a stable and secure future.